What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. The show today is going to be focused primarily, specifically on transfers, as we've had it up to there with these fake accounts, fake ownership updates, and all that kind of nonsense. So today we're going to talk about some dream signings, who we want in certain positions, and again, every single person in the comment section get involved. We've had a big update with Mason Mount. A bid's gone in. Apparently, we're going to discuss that. Also, just before we do dive into the transfers, a little bit of an update before we literally went live. Now, Manchester United's share price has gone up again. You're going to get loads of people tweeting this saying, oh, Qatar, they'll probably be retweeting about fucking Qatar winning again and it's all happening and blah, blah, blah. We think that the reason why the share price has gone up again is because the Premier League clubs today unanimously agreed to amend owners and directors' test to prohibit fully leveraged buyouts. So essentially, the way we got bought off the Glazers cannot happen anymore. And also to mention as well that this will hinder Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid because the way he wants to buy the club, there's certain loans involved and he's speaking to banks and all this kind of nonsense. So maybe in that sense, if you're kind of pro-Qatar, it leans more towards there. I think the current stock price is like $23.7 or something. So that's gone up even more. So yeah, look, read into that as much as you want. But for today, specifically, we talked so much about the ownership. We want to talk about transfers. And more importantly, we want to hear from you guys who you want at Manchester United, what targets you want to get and what are the kind of prime positions you want to go for, let's say. So get your comments in. We'll read loads of them out. As always, smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, Shreyas, we had breaking news literally about 20 minutes before we went live for coming out from the Telegraph, Matt Law, and he said Manchester United have seen an opening bid, usual motorbike that goes past mine every single time. Manchester United have seen an opening bid of £40 million for Mason Mount rejected by Chelsea. And then Fabrizio Romano was said as well, after Chelsea knocked down £14 million offer opening bid for Mount, United will now try again with a second bid. Chelsea wants 70 plus. We want to pay 50. What's the absolute max we should pay on this deal, Shreyas?
20.
Yeah, I don't see that happening so well.
But I think realistically we shouldn't go over 55 million. I think if you go over 55, I think over 50 you're already overpaying, and if you go past 55 then it's just ridiculous, because if you see the kind of players that are going for the prices right now in the Premier League itself, and then you see Mason Mount going in for about 70 or 80 million, it doesn't make sense at all. I know he's a very good player, he's a very talented player, he's a very exciting player as well, I would say. For Chelsea he's been I would say someone who's been there through the academy, so he has that connection with them as well. But if you see the kind of players if you see McAllister's gone for 34 million to Liverpool, 34 million for a World Cup winner who's practically had one of the best seasons ever for a midfielder in the Prem as well. So if he's going for a figure of 34 million, you can't spend more than 55 on Mount, because Mount doesn't have Mount had one of his worst seasons last season, so that also needs to come in order, and that should actually at least bring his price down from 60 million at least. So I think Ten Hag really likes him. And I think in a midfield with Casemiro he can work really well. I think he presses a lot in the midfield. And he's much more creative. Like, if you see the balance between Fred and Eriksen, he has that creativity and he has the legs to actually, have that work rate as well on the pitch. So I get the idea. I think it can work as well, because the thing with Mason Mount is that he's not the obvious choice. Like, if before the Mason Mount rumors and everything started circulating, Mason Mount would be the last person you would see. You would be thinking that, maybe he comes as an aid to Manchester United. Even anyone would have been going in for the McAllisters and Bellinghams and all those sort of players. Mason Mount would practically be the last choice. So if Ten Hag has come in so strongly for a certain player who's not an obvious choice, I think non-obvious choices have worked for us really well.
I want to come back at you on a couple of things there. So the McAllister thing, I absolutely agree with. It's someone we should have targeted. I don't know what the behind-the-scene deals. We can't sit here and pretend we know what the behind the scenes deal was going on. But Liverpool have got him, and that primarily because of his release clause.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a release clause asserted or something. So they got him for that price for that reason. If he didn't have a release clause in, then you'd probably talking probably a similar priced amount, if not even more. But I agree with you that maybe that's someone we should have been talking to and identifying, because in terms of qualities they offer, McAllister's a very similar player to what Mason Mount is, if not technically better. So I agree with that. The price tag I also agree with, because I think 40 million is low ball in Chelsea a little bit. I know he's got a year left on his contract, but it's weird because I feel like in between 40 and what, like when you start getting up to the 70, 80 kind of bids, that's when it's like nah. Because if you can get that Casado for that, for example. So I think somewhere between is what we're going to get. I think 55 million. Yeah. If you pay anything over that, that's when it starts getting a little bit pricey. But again, this could drag on, Trey, simply because of the fact that Chelsea is saying 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, but United are sure that he's not going to sign another contract. So what do? You can't force the hand. You can only say, right, 40, and then you believe probably what, next bid's going to be 50? Something along the lines of that?
I think, I don't think that after 40 you can straight away go to 70 million. And like you mentioned as well with the prices, we need to remember we got Casemiro for 60 million, and Casemiro had an incredible season with Madrid when we actually got him. Won the Champions League, he won the La Liga as well. So, and we got him for 60 million. Does anyone actually think that Mount is better than Casemiro? He's not. So
no, of course not. Of course not.
So we need to go in with a bid which is at least significantly lower than 60 million.
I think age profile is something to consider as well, though, because he's only 24. Obviously, Casemiro was 30 when we bought him. I know he's still technically in his prime, but he's 6 years younger than Casemiro. And we know Eric Ten Hag wants him. That's the thing why I'm not too fussed about it. You've known all along, and everybody in this chat knows all along that I've always wanted Frankie de Jong. But that deal doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So if Ten Hag wants Mason Mount, well, that best not happen because I will kill someone. But if he wants the player, back the manager. You see what happened with the summer transfer window. He smashed it, basically. Smashed it. I'm going to read out a couple of comments just before we get into the other targets, because there's plenty of people we want to discuss. Brian Casey, evening, lads. Sorry I missed the last few lives. Been away the last few days, enjoying the sunshine. Mate, you enjoy that sunshine. Don't worry about us. Get you raising your vitamin D, is it? You get from the sun? Yeah, vitamin D. Get your vitamin D in. Jesus, never seen a live video start early. Nice. Henry Jones, Mbappe left wing, Rashford, Anthony right wing. Okay, it's an interesting attack. If we're going to sign 5 or more players, then I think we have to sell 10-ish, including releases. It's a lot of players, man. I don't see United doing that, but fair play. Moondog saying, serious question, and I'm not shit staring or taking a piss, but when the club is in the process of being sold, does the club not go under a transfer embargo of some kind? Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'll certainly look into it, but I don't think so, no. I think business can technically continue as usual, but you can't lie. Like, whoever it is who comes in are going to want to make that kind of big money signing. And speaking of big money signings, Shreyas, Harry Kane doesn't seem likely now. Seems very unlikely at the moment. How much do you persist with this deal? How much do you offer? Similar questions to Mason Mount, I suppose.
Don't offer more than 70 or 80 million, I would say. You can't offer more than 70 and 80 million because he can genuinely give you only 2 more seasons at his best now. He can genuinely give you just 2 more seasons, I would say. And
can I come back at you on that?
Yeah.
Can I come back at you on that, though? Lewandowski's 34, Benzema's 35.
Yeah, but I've never seen an English player have that sort of longevity in the Premier League. Lewandowski.
Are you saying we eat too many chippies?
Yeah, and Lewandowski is doing it in La Liga, and Benzema has moved to the Saudi League now as well. The only other player who we saw doing this sort of task was Cristiano Ronaldo, and even he faded after 1 season. So I genuinely wouldn't go over 80. And there's just one thing that, I think he's definitely a fantastic player. The kind of stats that he's pulled up this season and the season before that, he's a very consistent striker, no doubt about it. But when it comes to the big games, I've never seen Harry Kane step up. I've never seen Harry Kane step up during the big games. That's the thing that kind of draws me away from him, because whenever Tottenham has relied on them on the biggest occasions, he hasn't turned up. Whenever England have relied on him in the biggest occasion, whether it's the Euros or the World Cup, he hasn't turned up in those sort of games when it is, one kick, one chance. He doesn't turn up in those sort of games.
I agree with you again to a certain extent. I think in the Euros, absolutely, he's bottled it a few times. Champions League final with Tottenham didn't really show up, and it's been a couple more as well. But I have seen him perform against big teams, against Man City, for example. I have seen him perform against big teams. The thing, but I suppose what you kind of touching on there is when it matters in finals and
exactly
things like that.
Because we've seen it this season as well. Ericsson, I would say, has been a fantastic signing with the kind of stats that he's drawn up and the kind of value he's brought up to the team, because we spent practically no money on him. But we've seen that when it comes to these finals, the sort of intensity and sort of physicality we need, Ericsson cannot offer us that. And that is an area where he lacks. That is why we're going for someone like Mason Mount, because he can offer us that sort of physicality, he can offer us that sort of creativity as well, and he knows how to turn up in the big games as well, because Mount has done it on the biggest occasion and on the biggest stage as well. With Harry Kane, I genuinely haven't seen it yet. With England as well, during major competitions like the Euros or the World Cups, I think he sometimes just chokes. It just happens like this. It just it just happens with the flick of a finger. So that's the only thing that just draws me away from Kane. That's the only thing, because when you see other players like Kylian Mbappe is being mentioned, we've seen him do it on the biggest stage of them all. Like, he's brought his team. France was dead in the final against Argentina. Like, they were literally dead until the 80th minute. But Mbappe just turned up, and the complexion of the game changed altogether. I would say the same for Osimhen as well. Napoli, they didn't really look great at times, but Osimhen just charged up and changed the complete complexion of the game. So that is the one area where Harry Kane, I think he still needs to surprise a lot of eyes. But except that, I think genuinely he's if someone is getting you 30 goals every single season, pretty much.
In a Tottenham team.
Yeah, where there's practically nothing going on. There is no stability of manager. Of course, he's a fantastic player. But if you want him to be a leader or someone you need to, rely on the biggest occasion, and then you're spending about 120 to 150 million, then I think it's an unreasonable deal.
It's interesting. There's a lot of variables with this. I'm going to read out a few more comments. George Thomason says 60 with bonuses for Mount. 60 is the max though. Maybe. I think I'd probably agree with that. Arsenal close to signing Havertz. Newcastle are close to signing Barella.
Yeah,
believe it or not, that is a great signing. By the way, if they get Barella
in 1 second.
Yeah, if Newcastle have like Guimaraes, Barella, and then they bring in another signing in that midfield,
they're getting Maddison
unbelievable. Madison, that midfield's getting a proper revamp.
And a lot of people saying 85 this season either. They didn't have a bad midfield this season either. Like, they're upgrading in the midfield. They had a decent midfield this season as well.
Yeah, and according to, whilst we're on the situation of strikers as well, Brian Casey's put this in, according to Jamie Jackson, United have ended their interest in signing Harry Kane as well. So, yeah, it looks very unlikely, doesn't it, that it's going to happen. Something else that's very unlikely to happen as well, Shreyas, is Kylian Mbappe, who you was kind of touching on. You mentioned his name, so we might as well discuss him. I was in a show the other day when all this stuff was going on about Qatar and stuff, and I appreciate that a situation like this is very unlikely to happen. It just is. It's as simple as that. Like, Mbappe to United is way off. And people are kind of putting 2 and 2 with Qatar if they come in, and then, big money investment, big signing, Mbappe wants to leave, etc., etc. The issue is with that, PSG are owned by Qatar, essentially. And their president is Nasser El Khalifa, who's supposed to be this middleman in the whole situation. So if they fell out and Mbappe is kind of giving PSG a lot of shit and saying he wants to leave or he's going to stay this year and then leave on a free, I can't see a way where they're like, oh, well, we now own Manchester United, or someone we know owns Manchester United. We'll make that transfer happen and blah, blah, blah. But if it was to happen, how much do you think he's worth right now? And you'd obviously take him, right?
Of course, I think anyone would take him at this point of time. I think anyone would take him. Like, if you got playing Kylian Mbappe at striker, Bruno Fernandes behind him, we've got Antony on the right, and then you've got Rashford on the left. It is a pretty stacked attack. It genuinely is, and I think we convert a lot of goals with having someone like Kylian Mbappe in the attack as well. Considering how the market works and considering the kind of player he is, realistically, you would spend at least 200 million on him. Genuinely would, the way he's been performing all these years.
Pounds or euros?
Euros.
Euros. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're talking like £150, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Daniel Levy has mentioned the same price for Harry Kane.
Well, Napoli mentioned the same price for Victor Osimhen.
Yeah.
Right. So
exactly.
if you're, I mean, I'm sure I asked more people. I'd be surprised if someone said Osimhen, but if you're going to say Mbappe or Osimhen,
You got to
most
go
people would lean to. Yeah, like it just makes sense. And I saw some. I think PSG have kind of dampened these reports recently, but there was something that came out. I think from the Quip, whatever they're called, saying 150 million euros for Mbappe.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend 100 million on Kane, 100 million, Gonzalo Ramos has a 110 million release clause. Surely you go get Mbappe.
Yeah, you use that for Kylian Mbappe because you're getting a born winner in there.
Yeah, and he's got 1 year left. He said Ashley Dallow says 1 year left on his contract, 150 million euros. In the exact same situation that Mason Mount is in with Chelsea. So you either just say, just go to PSG and go, look, we'll give you 150 million euros.
Yeah, and I think if you get him, I think it could genuinely be a perfect attack if you get someone like Kylian Mbappe in, because he just knows how to play every single position in the attack. He genuinely does know how to play every single position. And the kind of player he is, I think Haaland versus Mbappe could be a good competition to have in both the Manchester teams.
100%. I mean, we can only dream at this point. I don't think it's very realistic. I think. This leads me on to the next target. I think the most realistic thing to happen currently is Rasmus Højlund, I believe, £40 million. I think they might be dovetailing him with Marcus Rashford as a number 9. We had James on from the Mufc the other day, who's very in the know, and he was saying Rasmus Højlund has switched agency just for this summer to Ten Hag's agency. The quote's coming out saying he's a Manchester United fan, he's huge respect for the club. Do you see him?
Your audio
just getting,
and your audio and your video are a little behind.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but your video and audio are a little behind. Certainly. Till now it was perfect. Nick is gone. Second. Nick will be back really shortly, guys. We just faced a little bit of a technical issue. He'll be back, I think, within the next second. 1 sec, I'll just double check. Yeah, he'll be back within the next second. Till then, I can just read out your comments. We could play Mbappe at right back and we'd be a million times better. Definitely, I think we'll be a million times better having Kylian Mbappe playing pretty much any. I think he's a very gifted player, and I think in the new era, I think he could be one of the poster boys for quite some time now. And if he comes to United and he wants to play his best years at this club, I wouldn't really mind it. Rasmus is a Man United fan. We should not miss him. I think he's a very good player, and I think he can develop to be a very, very strong and a very, very destructive player as well to have as the number 9. So I think you get him. You get another striker though, because he's still really young. He needs a lot of development in him, and we need another player who can actually come in and do that job for us week in and week out, because I still think that he needs development. With Ten Hag, you've got the perfect manager to actually work with him and actually take him to that level. So I think we need to sign him either way, and we need to go in for another striker as well. Your voice is robotic. I'm really sorry for the technical issue, guys. Nick is out to sing. He's just coming back. I think he'll be
I'm
back.
in. I'm here.
Yeah, Nick is back, guys. And you can see him now. Boom. Nick is back.
Right. Are we all right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Sounds okay. I'm not too loud or anything?
Yeah, all good.
I'm all right. Okay, all right. What was you touching on then, just so we can kind of expand on your point?
Yeah, I was just saying that Rasmus Højlund is going to be a very gifted player. But I still think we need to sign someone else as well, because he's still really young. He's a developmental striker, and I think Ten Hag can make him a very destructive player as that number 9, because he's good with developmental players. But we still need another striker who can come in and do the job for us.
Yeah, absolutely. A few comments on this. Again, I don't want to, if you've already read some out, then I won't go over them. But Jim Mack saying Rasmus's definitely worth a punt. Sam saying Nick's had enough.
Yeah.
Shouldn't he say Nick becoming the Glazers? Ashley Daddle, 7 years back, Kim was playing semi-pro football in South Korea. And last 3 years, he moved from South Korea to Turkey, to Italy, and now potentially Man United. What a jump from the guy. Yeah, we're going to touch on Kim Min Jae very shortly, but just the last kind of thing on Rasmus Højlund. The question I was asking before Discord really interrupted me was, do you think it's a risk trying to bring him in just as a sole striker, maybe dovetailing him with Rashford?
I don't see it as a risk because I think, to be very honest with you, any player you sign in a transfer window is a risk till the time they are actually on the field. Because you can sign any player, they might bring in a lot of credibility, but you cannot be a 10,000% sure till the time you actually see them on the playing on the pitch with that sort of team. And I think if we only go in for Højlund as a sole striker, I think Ten Hag can do the job with just him as well. I think he genuinely can. And there are still strong rumors that he's still working towards getting a left winger. So there are a lot of variables going on around the club, and someone complete, like we saw Mason Mount right now, we could be seeing someone completely different, within the next week itself. So yeah, I think Rashford, Højlund, and Anthony, I think it can work really well. Højlund definitely, even if you take him as a sole striker, you need to be very patient with him because he's very young. He'll take time to adapt, and it will be a completely different setup to how Serie A plays. It is in Serie A, it is much slower, it is much more compact. In the Premier League, it is much faster, much more physical. So it will take him time to adapt, but he, I think give him like 1 to 2 years more, and you can actually see what kind of a gem he actually is.
Interesting that you do take kind of the risk, the jump with him. I don't know myself. I'm a bit 50-50 because there's going to be a lot of pressure on the kid's shoulders to come in as Manchester United number 9 and be that prolific goal scorer straight away, in 20-30 goals, especially when you have someone who come in with Erling Haaland, who come in and did damage himself. So it's it's a weird one, but we'll move it on. I want to talk about centre backs. Ashley Daddle mentions on like a Kim Min Jae there. Will we see a resurgence of Timber, do you think, with this situation, or do you think it's just Kim Min Jae and that's it?
I think if we don't see anything within the first week of the transfer window, then you might see Jurrien Timber arising again, because the release clause in Kim Min Jae's contract is only valid for a certain point of time. If United are not able to act that fast, then I think it is going to be very natural that Jurrien Timber will rise again, and he'll be directed towards Manchester United by loads of articles once again, because of the obvious things of him being Ten Hag's former player. Last season we were linked with him heavily as well, but we ended up getting Martinez. So yeah, I think if it doesn't happen within the first week, then you might see it. But I still think Ten Hag wants Kim Min Jae, and the kind of
why not?
If you,
I'm just going to say what. Go on.
You go, Nick. I'll wait.
Okay, I was just going to say, you can see why he wants him, because we discussed Kim Min Jae in depth before. He can keep up with the quickest of players, great in the air, great on the ball, has every really attribute you want from a centre back. And then as well, like you said, he would complement Lisandro Martinez to be the perfect partner. Yeah. He's one of the best. He's been one of the best in Europe this season. I know he's had a quick rise to fame, like Ashley Daddle kind of mentioned there, but I feel like he'd be perfect. And for the price you're going to get him, you're talking about, like, for example, Disasi is someone else that we're linked with, right?
Yeah.
And he's worth, how much are you going to end up paying for someone like that? A young potential centre-back. You saw Badashil go for like 30-40 million. Might as well spend the extra 10 on Kim Min Jae. You know what you're going to get. Guaranteed.
He's a gold winner,
standard.
Yeah. So
exactly.
You have to spend a little extra for him. And I think the thing is, he's always been this sort of player. The fact that, he's moved to a club like Napoli, there are a lot of more eyeballs on it. And he just did what he did. I think at Fenerbahce, there weren't as many people, except for Napoli scouts, there weren't really as many people actually, keeping a close eye on him. But Napoli were able to, actually visualize what kind of a player he is. Ended up paying only 14 or 15 million for him. And he's turned out to be one heck of a signing for him this season.
Yeah. One thing we haven't considered, Trey, as is what happens if Lindelof goes. He's had links with Inter Milan, a couple others.
Yeah.
What do we do if he goes? Because we have to replace him as well. Is that when Timber maybe comes into the conversation? We're like, right, we'll sell Lindelof for, I don't know, 30 million, let's say. Then we go get a Timber, or then we go look at these kind of targets. I know there was a centre-back from Frankfurt and Deco. I think he's moved to Roma.
Yeah, he's gone to Roma.
Now under Mourinho. But do you think them kind of signings would be something we look at if Lindelof goes?
I think even if Lindelof goes, we don't. I think if Lindelof goes, I don't think Julian Timber is the answer for it, because I don't think if Julian Timber comes to Manchester United, he would be ready to be, like a third choice centre back. Because I think even when Min Jae comes, I think Varane and Martinez are going to be the starting partnership. Slowly and steadily, Min Jae will work his way up and fill in the position for Rafa Varane, because age will definitely get to him. But right now, I think whenever he plays, he's fantastic, no doubt about it. So I think if you need to go in for someone, you'll have to look in for a person who is satisfied being on the bench, playing the odd game, because
Yeah.
Martinez can't be replaced in this team. Like, Martinez is going to be a sure shot starter. If Varane is fit, Varane also plays. They're just by far the best centre backs you can actually wish for in a team. Like, what Rafa Varane on when he's fit, you can genuinely see the kind of performances he's pulled up in last season, and you can say the same for Martinez. Like, I don't really remember how many bad games he's had. That's how good he's been last season. So I think if you go in for someone like that, probably go in for a centre back from those relegation clubs who are good, like Bella Kotchak. I think he can be very decent if Lindelof goes. He can come in and fill in that void.
Yeah, not a bad shout. The reason why I mention these kind of variables is because we know what the transfer market's like. You just never know. Sometimes some players can go, sometimes you don't get your primary target. The budget switches up, and an absolute madness happens. We're gonna touch on the goalkeeper situation for the last one. Before I do, I'm just gonna read out loads of comments about what we've been speaking about. Ashley Dallel says every player is a risk. Sancho and Pogba were risks, and their performance did not reflect the price we paid. Bruno was a risk, but a very good one. Rasmus is a Man United fan, and he will excel in the Premier League. That's what Ashley Dallel says. Jim Mack saying if we get rid of the players we need to, we should really be bringing in 6 new ones, but I think it'll be more likely to be 4. Yeah. Brian Casey saying Min Jae should be the number 1 choice of centre-back that we go for. I agree with you, Brian. I think Shreyas does as well. Yeah. Moondog saying can't see Kim leaving Napoli, but there's a release clause. He wants to go.
He wants to.
There's been talks between both clubs. Romano's extensively reported on that, so feels like he will go. And like Aaron Gregory says there, to be fair, Fabrizio mentioned that Lindelof was not for sale despite interest. Big up to Aaron. Been a while since we've seen him. Hope he's good, as always. Sorry about that. And also, Aaron is a Real Red Ultra member. We've now got a starting 11. We're figuring out the final details when we can do a live show to reveal who will feature on the show with us. So we're going to put names into a hat and pull the names out. Yeah. Whoever gets it, obviously gets it. But then there's another 11. So the next 11 that fill them slots, they're the exact same for you guys. You all get the exact same exclusive content, a Badge 16 name, and a chance to feature on the show. I've filmed the members video today. It's done. It just needs editing, and then it'll be put out. So it'll either be tonight or tomorrow. Yeah. And the video will be there for you guys. So yeah, thank you for appreciating the channel. Thank you for appreciating the channel, but thank you for supporting the channel consistently. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Now, goalkeeper Shreyas. What do we do with this situation? David De Gea has still not signed his contract. He's umming and ahhing. Al Hilal are reportedly interested in bringing him in. What do you do with that situation now?
I really don't know why he's not signing the contract, but I think if he's not signing it, makes it certain that he will leave if he doesn't sign it. Like, it genuinely makes it certain. And I think we need to go in for a replacement now. Like, genuinely, like we pulled up Mason Mount, like we pulled up Min Jae. No more rumors. Like, you need a concrete option to actually go, settle in with a bid for, because the transfer window is open. And you've got a player who's right now the only person who's who can play that position at our club, and he's not renewed his contract yet. It is not a good situation to be in. Like, imagine if De Gea leaves in the next couple of weeks, and we are left with practically no keeper. It puts us in a very, very worse situation, because it makes us more desperate. And if we even go in for a keeper, they might actually raise up the price because they know we don't have any other player to actually fill in for that spot. So I think even if he doesn't sign the contract, or even if he does sign the contract, make a goalkeeper deal very, very quick.
I think there is slight eggshells involved in this. I absolutely agree with you because look, I'm one who's always said De Gea he needs to go. We just in order for us to progress and advance. I don't need to dive into it. He just needs to go for me. But yeah, like you said, if he goes, let's say he turns around tomorrow and goes, I'm not signing a contract, I'm going to Saudi. United are then like, okay, right, well, we need to go find a first-team goalkeeper who's going to fit in straight away, hit the ground running, and has all the capabilities that we need. Yeah. Diogo Costa kind of fits that bill, but then he's going to cost you, Diogo's going to cost you, see what I did there? He's going to cost you 70 million euros. That's his release clause. Yeah. So then you're like, the budget's even stretched even more. So you're telling me you're going to get two strikers or whatever you want, or an attacker as well, a midfielder, a centre-back, a goalkeeper, and then someone for cover as well in the other positions. Midfielders. Yeah, exactly. So a Rabiot and a Mount, let's say, just for argument's sake. But Rabiot's still going to have significant wages. We know what Veronica's like. We've spoken to his mother before. So, yeah, it just seems like we're going to be panicking. And that's why I think someone like a David Raya, regardless whether you're going to bring him in for competition, if De Gea signs a contract and he's aware that there's going to be a second choice keeper who's going to be competing for the first team spot, that's fine. I think David Raya would kind of accept that. He's playing for United, be decent. I know he's close to signing for Tottenham. I know there's been close links. It's not a done deal yet. But that's someone who's 40 million, right?
Yeah, he is 40 million. And once again, the Onana thing, the Onana price tag actually, comes in because he's only worth 50. And he's between David Raya and, in the matter of price tags, he's between Raya and Costa, and arguably could be better than both of them. So
just on that, there was a few comments, sorry to interject, but a few comments, a lot of people mentioned Onana. I think the Champions League final brought a lot of attention to his ability, didn't it?
Yeah, and I've seen him for quite some time. I saw him at Ajax. I saw him during the Champions League. I saw him, at Inter as well for quite some time. I've been following him as well. So he's a very capable, good, goalkeeper. He's genuinely a very capable goalkeeper. And for a, goalkeeper to do that in the Champions League final against this City team, it takes a lot of experience and a lot of confidence the way he was actually playing. Ederson wasn't playing as well as Onana, and Ederson has been playing for Man City in the Premier League at the top level for quite some time, but he wasn't able to do that job. So, and for 50 million, a player like that available for just 50 million, I think it will genuinely be a bargain deal, because he's doing it in the Italian league in a very established side in Inter. Diogo Costa has been doing that in the Portuguese league in Porto. So he's been doing it in a much more established league, and he's available for practically 40 or 30 million pounds less.
Yeah. Just played Champions League final as well, and played very well, like we just touched on. I think is a great option. The only reason why I'm not pushing or getting excited about it is because you've seen no links really to own that. No strong links like you've seen with Diogo Costa. We know for a fact United have extensively been scouting Diogo Costa. When we had Laurie Whitwell on, this is what he was saying. He was saying we've scouted him probably more than most players. Any guests we've had on have spoken about how much United are obsessed with Diogo Costa and want him. So that is the deal I think we do. That's on hold until we find out what happens with the David De Gea situation. And just don't want it dragging into the summer with the rest of the deals. I think once one deal gets done, you always have that domino effect, and you'll see loads more be announced. Mount, Rasmus Højlund, De Gea signs his contract, etc., etc., etc. Min Jae release clause. One person, Shreyas, who's got whose contract runs out July 1st is Adrien Rabiot. When we're talking about free agents, cheap players, young players as squad fillers, competitors, whatever you want to call them, any shouts from yourself? Are you a fan of Rabiot?
I think if you want to go for Rabiot, though, you need to sell Fred. If you keep Fred, don't sign Rabiot, because you're already getting Mount and you've already got Eriksen at the club as well, so he wouldn't really fit in.
Congested.
Exactly. You've already, and I wouldn't sell Eriksen in this window either. Like I would keep Eriksen in, because I think he can still provide us with quite a lot of experience and professionalism in that position from the bench as well. And you need quality on the bench. And I wouldn't say Christian Eriksen is a weak link, but we were in a position where we had to bring in Fred for Eriksen, and Fred doesn't possess the kind of creativity and visionary passing that Eriksen has. So I think I would keep Eriksen. But if we do end up selling Fred, I think then you need to go in for someone like a Rabiot.
Yeah.
But I think before you go in for Rabiot, you need to go in for a CDM who can be backup
Yeah.
to Casemiro.
Well, I've got a shout for you at CDM. It probably won't be cheap, but he's definitely not a free agent. But Amrabat is a name that's been mentioned, and James from Mufc has mentioned this the other day as well. Just want to keep an eye on if he doesn't go to La Liga.
La Liga.
Amrabat, is he someone you bring on, admire, a fan of?
Haven't really followed him much after the World Cup. I think he plays at Fiorentina.
Yeah.
So, and they were in the final of the Conference League as well. So, I think he's had a decent season, but I genuinely need to, follow him a little more and actually know what kind of player he completely is about. One name that genuinely pops into my mind, and someone who can come in and do an exceptional job for us would be Palhinha from Fulham.
Yeah. It probably costs the same amount as well, wouldn't it, to be
40,
fair?
35, 40 million.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask, sorry, Aaron Gregory's saying between us both, if we could pick a keeper, who would we both have? I think you said Onana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I go Diogo Costa. If money wasn't an option, and it's like a dream signing, I'd go Diogo Costa, personally. One question to you guys who are currently watching, drop me one player who's either a free agent, a cheap signing, a young gem, any one of them three that fill the category. Drop it in the comment section who you would go for, please. Just if there's anyone at all who could be a squad filler in midfield, someone to add to the attack, or right back, whatever it is you want. Put it in the comment section and we'll read a couple out. Make sure you all smash a like on the video as well, by the way, if you haven't already. It helps us push the content up. It helps everything more than you know. So please do leave a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. If you're thinking, who are these lads? What's this channel? What have I stumbled upon here? We're discussing transfers. We spoke about Mason Mount, the fact that Chelsea have rejected the first bid for £40 million. United are going to go back in. Fabrizio Romano just tweeted out about Min Jae, saying we're very much interested for him. We're in the race. Nothing's done yet, but Bayern Munich are also interested as well, apparently, which could spice things up a little bit, because if you're going to pick Bayern or United, that's a very tough choice. I wouldn't want to be in that position, especially, be pretty much guaranteed to win things at Bayern Munich. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. And we spoke about Harry Kane, Mbappe, all that kind of jazz. So if you are late to the show, just scroll back and get involved in that. Right, let's have a look at these free signings and things like this. Let's have a look. So, Dallo saying Tielemans, but Aston Villa already got him. Yeah, I think that's a good signing for them.
Yeah.
Brian Casey with a great one, which I'm a massive fan of. And anyone who watches the members video, you'll see something about this guy. Marcus Thuram could be a good shout for us.
Yeah, I personally wanted to go in for him during the winter window. Like, instead of Weghorst, if you could have got him, Thuram probably could have been much more competitive in every single competition we were in.
Yeah.
Because he's a very good striker. Like, if anyone has seen him at Mönchengladbach, or if...
Good numbers as well.
And if anyone saw him during the World Cup as well, they would see he's a very talented player. He's a very, very talented player. But AC Milan are very, very in advanced deals with him. Like, they're genuinely in much advanced talks with him. So it's going to be very difficult to lure him away now.
I also think that's a great signing for AC Milan because they've got quite a strong like French heritage there with like Mike Maignan, Lucas Hernandez, Olivier Giroud. I think there's a couple more. Giroud's 37, not getting any younger, so he could slot in there really nice, and I think he'd be a great signing for them on a free as well.
Yeah.
So great shout. Jim Mack saying Conor Gallagher. For me, Conor Gallagher is a level below Mason Mount, and how much he's going to cost you, I don't know, because it's not like he's got a year left on his contract or anything like that. I don't think. Maybe he has. I mean, enlighten me if he has, but yeah, and I'm not so sure about Conor Gallagher personally. I think he's more of a fitness merchant, in my personal opinion. Ashley Dallow saying Jordi Alba could be screwed signing though. If you got left back, it's one of them. We've got Malacia and Shaw.
Yeah, they're good enough.
Yeah, exactly. Jacob Ramsey, is he free though? Cheap? I don't think he'd fit in that category, to be honest.
If you're going for him, he'll be at least 60 to 75 million, at least.
He's a top young English talent, but
Yeah.
I think you'd be paying a lot for him, depending on the contract situation. I don't know what his contract situation is. Said he didn't want to stay because if Eric Ten Hag saw him, he'd pick him and does. Oh, he's going on about Dean Henderson, isn't he? Yeah, Henderson on his way out, many outgoings, and hopefully many incomings. And this is a start. Once Mason Mount deal gets done, hopefully there's a domino effect. And of course, we will go live if and when it happens. So turn on that notification bell, smash like on the video. And thank you to Shreya for coming on.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, mate.
Thanks for having me. And yes, once again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe to it.
Yeah, drop a follow on all the socials there as well. If you don't follow us for regular transfer updates, clips from the show, we put a tweet out recently before that about the stock prices going up again and what that could mean. Why have they gone up? So make sure you check that out. And yeah, like if anything breaks, if it's 3 a.m, 5 p.m, about the ownership situation, if Manchester United gets sold, I will be here talking about it as soon as it breaks. So it's important to turn on the notification bell because it will drop down on your phone. You can just simple tap and then we'll go through it and discuss it together. So hope everybody has a lovely Wednesday. Get out in the sun, get that vitamin D. And yeah, me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one. Peace.